In case you hadn't noticed, I haven't been on much, mainly because the hotel Wi-Fi is living up to every bad name that's ever been said about it. It's still out at the moment. I don't know if it's going to be up by Monday, in which case, you know, I'll probably have to do it by the phone. And it's obviously the fan film in that case is going to be out. It's just going to be a chat line at that point. But for at least they need to produce something. And worst case, I'd go to the library and upload these things in the morning. But taking the advantage to finally catch up on some viewing, and did some binge. I binged through Book of Boba Fett. Now, this is probably, I know I'm going to get crap for all this, but since I am not steeped in all the EU lore and all the things that supposedly happen to Boba Fett and all this, I didn't mind it that much. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest thing ever, but it's like, it wasn't that bad. It was okay. And they did manage to sneak in. They actually managed to somewhat canonize the cartoon segment from the holiday special, where Boba Fett riding that great big gigantic brontosaurus thing. So, and they're sneaking in little things there, and like I've been pointing out, the Clatoons, cloning, they're harassing those moisture farmers and the KK thing. Yeah, the hoodies for KK. So like, I think there was a thing of don't blame us. This is Kathy's mess. So. But it filled in some gaps here. Yes, it wasn't too bright of Boba Fett to think he's going to find his armor back at the Sarlacc pit when he did crawl out of it with his armor. It's only he survived. But again, he was delirious. He wasn't thinking. He was unconscious. When Jawas pulled it off him. All he knows is he wakes up and he's in the desert and he hasn't got his armor. So, and I think that's one bit they probably could have worked a little better. It's like, this is the last place I had it. Let's start here and see if there's any clues. That would have been a little better. And we saw, and through Mandalorian, we saw how we got it back. So that was, fine there. But the scooter gang, yeah, it's cheesy. It's and the fact that they were called the mods because they modified themselves, and quick crossover to the mods and Quadrophenia with their scooters. Yeah, it's cute, but it's also, given what we have seen of Old Republic life, and it's not totally out of line either. Okay, it was a much more flamboyant, decorative thing, like the Naboo fighter. And yeah, I watched most of the reviews and the spoiler stuff, and Doomcock's review of it, and yeah, no, yes, it's cheesy, but if you can't handle a little bit of cheese here and there in the universe, what's the point? Okay, you got to have a little fun with it, and I think it was them having a little bit of fun with it, So mods, yeah, whatever, okay. So I like the one chick in there, okay, with the bionic arm. Go with it, okay. Just lighten up a little bit. That's a big thing, And recognizing this is apparently a production mess because of having to scrape through all the Kathy nonsense, try and make something coherent, and stick in a couple of give it a sneak preview for the Mandalorian season 3 to try and fill it out a bit. It's like it all works out, okay, and I didn't think the whole the last episode was all that bad either. It's like, by all rights, they could have nuked the city from orbit and called it a day, and that would have been it. That would have been it for Boba and his merry band of pranksters. But let's remember also, Tatooine is a backwater planet. Okay, it's clear out in the Outer Rim, and these other places, they're only going to come. Even the huts, it's not worth it. Have it, okay? We got better. We got other concerns elsewhere. You want this heap, you can have it. And I think there's a lot of these bosses out there with this. Forget it, okay? We're not getting that much out of it, and it's not worth it fighting him. He wants that heap. Let him keep it. They put out enough forces to put up a good fight, but beyond the point, it's like, okay, that's it. Forget it. Especially when look, half my men are either dead or eaten by a rancor. Okay. At what point do we say enough? And of course, Fennec Shand does what Fennec Shand does best and kill them all. In, in the thing. It was a little gruesome hanging in the mare, but such is life. It's a tough life on Tatooine. And a little tease at the end. Again, it's been long enough. I'm not worried about spoiler one at this point. The Marshal may not be the end of it. I think they may be thinking he could probably come in, and if we ever get this Rangers of the New Republic going again, he could be a part of it. But it wasn't that bad. And again, to be fair on this, a lot of people, about the changing of name of Boba Fett from Slave One to a Fire Spray. It's also made clear that the even in there the Fire Spray is the class of ship it was. It was called my Fire Spray, gunship. It's a type of thing. It's not necessarily named Fire Spray. It's a Fire Spray class, gunship. And frankly, it also, by the same thing, talking about how Razor Crest, that wasn't the name, it was the class of ship it was. It was a Razor Crest class gunship or transport. I get the feeling that Mandalorians don't name their ships. It's a Fire Spray. It's a Razor Crest. Go with it. It's a means of transportation. Don't get all hung up on my ship. Whatever. Get another one. And as for Grogu coming back,
I love Grogu.
Let's remember now. This is common. Cameron Posh has pointed out a lot of times. Another point where we really need to lighten up and let the writers do their thing. Patience, Padawan. Okay, it will work out, or should work out. Where again, for the large part, with not quite as much tragedy involved, the story with Grogu is following many of the same beats as The Empire Strikes Back. Luke left before his training was finished to go help Han and Leia, and he came back. But he also, pointed out, apparently that just the course of him going out and doing what he's doing, that completed his training. Yoda's on his deathbed. No more training you require, Jedi. You're a Jedi, or your training's complete. You're done. You did it yourself, the hard way. It's also kind of retro thing because Yoda didn't always do that kind of backward syntax thing. If really watch Empire Strikes Back, there's a lot of instances where he does not do that. Mainly when he gets really exasperated with Luke. I cannot train him. You are reckless. Does that sound backwards to you? That is very direct. Okay. I'm not scared. Oh, you will be. You will be. It's like, seriously. There's many times where, Yoda gets a little weird, but a lot of times where he's a little fed up. I was like, no, we ain't playing that.
Yoda's cute.
Well, yeah. So I think if this gets to the ears of Favreau Filoni, and you find whatever used, either Yoda or maybe Grogu starts talking, Leia, a little goes a long way. Okay, it's cute when it's a casual conversation, where he switches around subject and verb, but not all the damn time. I mean, Robot Chicken did a rip on that where he's trying to enter in the Clone Wars, ordering troops around, and one of the troops calls him, can't you just say go there? So I think that was the thing where George got a little carried away with it. It's like, no, just come on, George. Remember Empire? He didn't do that all the time. Okay? If things were tense, he's talked very directly. Subject, noun, subject, verb, object, predicate, everything. Or how the hell, subject, verb, object, or how would they diagram it all? It was not that, Vader, you will shoot nothing. Shoot him! Just put him straight up. Do it! But it's another case of May not be great television. And in a certain extent, we're kind of spoiled on too many other things, like the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones, everything. But it's kind of like the way Rob Burnett describes the prequels. Not great movies, but very good Star Wars. You fill in a lot of gaps there. We did get a lot of fill in the gap stuff with Life on Tatooine. It's like Mos Espa is where the thing. Mos Eisley, you get away with anything. Oh, that's just nuts over there. Like Obi-Wan said, "Fetched hive of scum and villainy." It's like worst place on planet is Mos Eisley. Right, Mos Espa is the more respectable place. That's where Jabba set up shop. He wouldn't go to Mos Eisley. It's too rough. But it's like, and they did, man, just sneaking a few things about when again with those two episodes of Mandalorian they had to shoehorn in, and I think that's pretty much that's a good spot for them. Get the preliminary stuff out of the way, and also have Mando show up in the finale as part of the troops and then work that in. So when they start up season 3 of Mandalorian, we're up to snuff here, and resolve the issue again of is he going to go back to Mandalore with the kid in tow? I wouldn't advise that, okay? And also the way little baby Grogu put the Rancor to sleep. It's like, yeah, the kid definitely loves you, but he needs to finish his training. This is not a Mandalorian thing. That is a Jedi thing he did, and he needs to, go back to Luke and finish up the training. Let him, keep the little mithril vest, Beskar rather, because even Jedi wore armor during the Clone Wars, So, but he needs to, and I think it's also a thing of a little misinterpreting of what Luke was telling him. You may not see the man. Not you are not allowed to see him. You may not see him again. You may not. Time will tell. Depends on how long your training is and what happens to the Mandalorian. You take your chances. That's what he was saying, I think. He wasn't saying you may not see the Mandalorian again, as in you're not allowed to see him again. He said you may not see him again. He may not turn up because you're going to come into the training here, and you're not going to see anybody until you finish this. Okay, that sort of thing. Again, it's all from a certain point of view. So. But overall, it's like it's okay. All right. I don't see this being enough of a smash that they'll get a second season, because I'm not sure there's much more story to tell there. He's set up on Tatooine, got Fennec as his right hand. The people of Mos Espa love him. They're bowing him up there, and he's turning Tatooine into a nicer place, one outpost at a time. And I guess it was kind of nice to see Toshi Station, and I guess Cammy and one of Luke's other friends there. They didn't get Kustark, but again, it's been almost about 1977, 1920, 50, almost 50. Yeah, she played Cammy in the deleted scene.
Oh boy.
Well, she was an up and comer. The girl they got kind of looks like her from back then. But Kustark is around my age, so I don't know if she's held up that well. She looked okay in Red Dwarf when she was in that, but we'll see. Whatever. Or diverging here, off into the weeds. Okay, so, and again, with those Luke scenes, kind of shows, yes, they did a very good thing in hiring Shamook to do the deepfake stuff. And I would not be the least bit surprised if they go back and fix Rogue One, because on his channel you can find the original version of Governor Tarkin and Leia, and then his version side by side. He's got a split screen, side by side when he got around at it. and you can tell very, very big improvement. It looks like Peter Cushing. It looks like Carrie Fisher back in the day, and there's very little off about it. And again, it's like when Luke on this thing. It's like you're not distracted. It doesn't, it's a little odd, and then he's a little stiff, and that's kind of the necessity of it. You can't get as emotive, because the software's not able to keep up. You got to kind of keep a fairly placid expression on your face, or it's just gonna things won't line up right, and give away the thing. But also, that kind of leads to the thing of Luke was in a very Zen type state at that point.
I don't know. She still looks pretty good.
Yeah, she's okay, but yeah. What, a coup?
Yeah.
Okay, current?
I would say fairly current.
All right, well,
she's in her 60s.
Yeah. So a little older. Well, again, she was taking Prince Andrew.
I'd say at the most maybe a few years old.
Okay. Well, look up, the channel Shamook, Shamook. This is the guy that Lucasfilm hired up after he made them look like idiots, basically. When he doing his own deep fake. He got a whole bunch of them. He didn't just do. He also did his own thing where YouTube channel, yeah.
Okay.
Where he managed to, where Rey was going through her training in The Last Jedi and replaced her face with Carrie Fisher back in the day. I mean, he couldn't do much with the vocal, but but it's like you look damn like he's there. But again, it kind of puts the thing of like Luke, as we saw him is very zen and peaceful and placid, and he had a little, just get a little emotion out of there, But this is not the same guy who decided to kill his own nephew because of a bad dream.
Whoa.
What? You found him?
Well, I didn't find the website, but I saw some things on him.
Well, not the website. Go on his channel.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at other stuff right now. They got side by side of the original Luke Skywalker and the deep fake.
Yeah, no, he did one of those too.
It was like, damn.
Well, yeah, it turns out, Hamill, again, when they do these things, and again, Hamill was credited this time. He was on set for, it wasn't just a voiceover thing. When they did that episode of Mandalorian, Mark Hamill was on set in costume. I've seen footage of it. He's on there, he comes and he does things. But it also, it's like my idea. It's like, well, couldn't that? No, too many years have gone by. Sorry, those little tricks are trying to hide a few years. There's too many years to hide in this case. So he's there to give basically the performance and show this is how Luke's going to do it. Mainly to show it to the stand-in, who's going to step in a minute, and they're going to replace his face with Luke from back in the day. As I think main thing with that scene is they kind of overshot a bit, and I don't think that is Mark Hamill for a Star Wars movie. That is Mark Hamill from the Texas Wheelers, which was a show on ABC he did in '75. It was a good show, but it's just a little overshot by a few years.
He's also got a deep fake of Tom Cruise as Iron Man.
Yeah, he's got a lot of them. So I'm sure that they probably came across those videos in where doing Tarkin better than they did Leia better than he did, and Luke better than and say, okay, we got to hire this guy. Instead of sicking the lawyers on him, send him an offer. Okay. And I'll lay odds that the offer did not come from Kathy. Okay.
Kathy's a twat.
No, I can't. It would have come from Favreau because this is the guy we need going forward. Okay. But we're starting to stray here. So, all right.
Anyway.
So again, the way I think the storyline, as they set it up there, he needs to seek redemption in the waters of the mines of Mandalore, which is now currently a big giant glass ball after the Empire got through with it. So he's got, and that is not a situation where he's going to be taking this kid along behind him. And this time he has a place to take him. He doesn't have to be dragging him along because no one is going to know. There is a place he can take him to. Say, okay, kid, you're going to stay with Unky Luke here and Auntie Ahsoka, and you're going to finish your training. I got to do stuff, and I can't have you with me. It's too dangerous, and it's like, no, I can't do this and keep an eye on you. So we'll see you when we see you. We'll back later, but meanwhile, off to Mandalore. Probably hooking up with Bo-Katan and her entourage. I mean, that's the thing. She wants to retake Mandalore. Well, from the footage they saw, I don't think there'd be much of a problem retaking Mandalore. There's not much there to retake. It's a burned out cinder. I mean, and whoever's left on the moon of Concordia probably don't like you much, lady. Okay, because you were part of those guys over on that burned out planet that exiled us here in the first place. And a weird twist of irony, if you had exiled us up here, there'd be no Mandalores left. Okay, Mandalorian. So that'll be a story in itself, but I think that's where it's gonna go. Is they're gonna have to. Okay, hold on. But yeah, I think that's where the story's going to go, is back to Mandalore, whatever tattered remains left of that planet, and again probably also reunifying the exiles on Concordia with if anybody's left on Mandalore itself, or probably just dragging all the diaspora back from all around to rebuild. And again, in that story, it's like you can't drag the kid along. You gotta get the kid back with Luke, and put a pause on that part of the storyline while you go figure out, get your Mandalorian head together, and then bring the kid back later. We have scenes here and there. Meanwhile, on whatever planet Luke is on, we're watching Baby Grogu, And I guess, to a certain extent, Doomcock's got a point. He's 50 years old, okay? He should be talking by now, okay? So we're not, at this point, we may be talking brain damage and not just, infancy, okay? That was his big thing. 50 years old, you ain't talking yet. That's not infancy. That's brain damage.
What are you talking about?
That was Doomcock's big thing when he just ran on his rant about the wrap up of Book of Boba Fett.
No.
So he's had it with falling on this brain dead little munchkin, and it's just again, I will grant a little further. Different species mature at different rates. Okay. Although I think it's about time the kids started to utter a few words. Okay. So at that, it wrapped up okay. Yeah. And there's no reason why there shouldn't be different tribes of sand people as there are different tribes. Again, the allusion to the American Indian. The ones we saw before, in previous things were the more violent tribes, and this is one of the peaceful ones. It happens, okay? And while, the trying to make an analogy of, whatever Lakota tradition or whatever, and then with, a lizard snorting up your nose, it's like, the analogy, all analogies fall short in the end here. So it's like, you just go with the general thing, but don't take too much offense or, whatever with the details, because it ain't worth it in the end, okay? It's just whatever, okay? They're just sort of generally taking the kind of Lawrence of Arabia, man called horse type of thing of, Boba Fett in that instance, but, put an alien twist on it. In this case, a lizard's leaping up his nose and send him on a vision. So, now, again, if you are steeped in the EU lore, you're probably going to find fault. He didn't do that. My big stance on the EU, it's canon. It's never been really hard. It's been canon until the live action says different. That's been pretty much the whole thing from the very beginning. I remember when this, but do these count? Why? Until we decide to say something different. Until then, yeah, whatever. You can consider it canon. Because I think a lot of stuff was stuff they were never going to cover anyway. There's thousands of years in that history, in the timeline. The Old Republic, the wars with the Sith, the war with the Mandalorians. There's thousands of years that gets covered there, and again, you're not going to see a lot. Most likely, you're never going to see it on screen. So it's yeah, whatever floats your boat. If we come across it and think something different, guess what? There's a good chance a lot of it's not going to stand. So no point getting too attached to it. Okay. But I think they could have been handled better than what Disney did, which is trash the whole thing out of hand. That was dumb. Because there's a lot of stuff that does fit in the timeline that they probably are going to get to. Like, don't be surprised if Mara Jade shows up.
That would be fun.
That'd be very well appreciated too. And it's getting around the time that she does show. I think the original issue was originally sent him to assassinate Luke by the remnants of the Empire, and they end up falling in love as these things happen to. Of course, when you're talking about a hot redhead with a purple lightsaber, hey, Luke may be a Jedi, but he's still human. Okay. And many a nice cosplay has been started by that character, so the only question is, which hot redhead do you want to be playing Mara Jade? Do we go with the obvious thing with Alicia Witt? Alicia Witt's a little bit past the shelf life on that one, though. Karen Gillan probably. Well, I don't know. And besides, Alicia Witt's gone. She's in music now. She's not into acting. Jessica Chastain, maybe. If Bryce Dallas Howard wants to come around from behind the camera and get she's directed a couple of these. If she wants to, slip into that outfit and get the lightsaber going, hey. I think that'd be a question of who are you going to be schnogging there in that case? Going to be Mark Hamill and his wrinkly old ass, or going to be a stand-in? But again, that's a different discussion for another time. So, I'm going to get the PayPal, Patreon. I'll have the links down below, and hopefully we can get back in line to do this properly. But for now, we'll talk at you later.